do not be afraid to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And just let that sit with you. I go through exercise with my kids, especially my youngest daughter, of normalizing these 4 statements. I'm ready, I'm powerful, I'm worthy, I deserve this life.
Yep.
Do not be afraid to be great. And I think there's, depending on where all the sum of our experiences, so depending on how we come up, it's just important for, I think, everyone to hear that, but to also practice it.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. Hello, this is Kerwin Gaines, and I'm not here on the agenda this week. I am on The Black Tech Show, and we are doing great work here again at DETV. And everyone knows, well, not everyone knows, maybe some people know that I have been in the tech field now for about 25 years. That's right. And we feel the need that that information needs to be brought to the folks here, not only in the state of Delaware, but throughout, as we stream and get information across here at DETV, which we're very thankful for. But we're here to talk about issues in tech that affect you. And for a lot of folks here in the area that are learning tech, right? So the folks that are in college, folks that are going through training programs here in the state, we're really excited about it. And I have a special guest today.
Brandon Jones, CEO of Throughline.
Throughline, and it is great. And he's going to tell us a little bit about everything today that he is doing. And he's done, I mean, this guy is doing so much. And I don't even know how he has the time to make all these things happen. But for those that don't know, tonight it's a great fair that's happening. It's bringing in a lot of leaders and people of color, men of color especially, for the Ebony Tie Fair here in Wilmington. And we're really excited about that. And we both are attendees.
Yes,
and
looking forward to that tonight.
Looking forward to it. So without further ado, Brandon, tell me a little bit about Throughline, your company.
So Throughline is an enterprise design strategy firm.
Okay.
I like to say that we specialize in storytelling. So I took over as CEO in January. It's an 18-year-old company founded by a CIO. So we're basically an IT firm for the creative world. So we specialize in helping leaders, specifically C-suite leaders or organizations, visualize their strategies and how you move from intent to impact with that visual. So that's showing everyone where they fit in, or working across the aisle with your colleagues, or shortening your implementation timeline. So it's about visualizing that, which is key. And we've been doing this again for 18 years. So I've got about 2,000 examples of what I can show you, from visuals to the Department of Defense, to Fortune 100 companies, to nonprofits, to startups. Just using the power of visual and human-centered design to move the needle in business. And
I think for some folks that may not know, that are in this space, especially, and when I'm talking to people, I want to talk to those young folks that are majoring in IT degrees, that are going through some independent programs here and in the state and throughout the city, that understanding technology, whether it be in my field, cybersecurity or whatever database, you have to be able to communicate so much of your ideas to the customer, right? And your customer just doesn't have to be someone that we're paying for. The customer can be your boss,
right?
Because we, whether we like to or not, you're going to have a boss of some sort in your life, right? So in the tech space, we find that the mindset of folks is very analytical. Would you
Correct.
agree? It's
I
very
totally
analytical, and getting that information out is very hard, very hard.
And I would say, so having this real conversation today about the skill set of being able to tell your story. So you know the information, you have this analytical mind, but we need to strengthen those skill sets of how should I effectively convey this?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to use a modality where I initially start off with an analogy, a movie quote, a reference, to really break things down? So we specialize at Throughline in simplifying the complex, but it's using things like that. So whether it's you pointing to a visual, or you making a reference to maybe how a restaurant works, and then linking that to cybersecurity or code development or any type of competency, from an IT perspective, but really strengthening that skill set of storytelling, and then being able to, I'm a big fan of Toastmasters, being able to articulate that in front of a room.
Right. And that's not something that's commonly found in IT.
Right.
A lot of people are great behind the keyboard, but you put them behind the microphone and things can get a little squirrely. You know what I mean? So having what you're doing and it has been successful in how you present this information on number of scales, and you're continuing to do it, and your company is too, I think is amazing. But you and I talked about a little bit offline, and that is, we as people of color sometimes do not work together to present our best interest, right? So the tech space is large, but our footprint as folks of color in that tech space is extremely small. And there are a lot of opportunities for us to grow, but for the most part, it's kind of staying flat, right? So utilizing these tools and some of the tools that you have in this space. So once we're able to navigate out and obtain these jobs and do things, we still need to present ourselves in such a way that we are knowledgeable in that space, and anything that we can do to illustrate that is beneficial. And I think really that's what your company's doing.
Yes. And yes. So I think also it's plugging into various organizations that kind of open this up. So I'm part of an organization called ITSMF, Information Technology Senior Management Forum, which provides training and a space for Black technologists to, one, link with other people, kind of create your own network, because there's power in numbers, and we can go farther together than we can go alone. So I think that's one side of it. But then again, back to the skill set of being able to effectively tell your story and really sell yourself. So it's if you want to move from a junior engineer or a junior developer to a senior developer, you've got to be able to tell your story.
I love it.
What are the 16 stories that link to how you lead people, how you lead change, how you drive results, how you build coalitions, how you are the technical or have great business acumen in your technical field? So
would you consider that a soft skill? No,
actually. I want to say it's a necessary skill. It's not
almost a hard skill.
Yeah. I'm leaning more towards the hard, and one, how I was trained in kind of those 5 competencies that I mentioned. So leading people, leading change, driving results, business acumen, and building coalitions. So across those 5, you need to be able to tell 2 stories of each of those and how you move the needle in order to move up. Like that's key. So I think that needs to be a part of all of we have to be able to articulate that at a moment's notice. And I'm not talking just elevator pitch and, trying to sell yourself. Like, really, what's the value that you bring across those competencies? So I would say, I lean to more towards the hard skill.
Okay. I love it. So we're both in the same field. We're both doing the same thing, so to speak. What are some of the challenges that, if we're here this week, part of the Ebony Tie Affair, which I'm plugging over and over and over again tonight, which I highly recommend anyone that next year has an opportunity to join and become a part of, please do. But for the younger folks that are out there, what recommendations would you give to them to prepare for this space moving into the tech field? I mean, your top 2, top 3.
Moving into the space from a tech field perspective. So can I give a bit of context first?
I love it.
So computer science degree. I vowed not to code after college.
And that lasted, what, a month?
No, it stayed, actually.
Okay.
So I first job out of college was at the Pentagon. I was working for electronic data systems on the largest intranet of the world, the Navy Marine Corps intranet. And I am the VIP help desk manager for this $8.8 billion contract called the Navy Marine Corps intranet. So right out of the gate, I'm supporting the Secretary of the Navy, the Chief of Naval Operations from a help desk perspective. And I'm going to weave in a couple of things that I want folks to pay attention to. So what I learned in that situation, I got to travel with the Chief of Naval Operations. I learned that I've never seen a schedule. Granted, I had leadership skills because I played basketball in college, but I'd never seen a schedule where, I mean, it's down to the minute. You're going to walk in your office at 6:32. You're going to get up from your office and go to the conference table at 6:35.
It's a different way of life.
It is a whole different way of life. So I learned like the accountability of, kind of how you spend your time and being very judicious about where you spend your time. That's a very valuable asset. So I would say for anyone coming into the workspace, where you spend your time matters. So whether that's what you're consuming from reading books, I'm an avid reader, do about 20 to 30 books a year, whether that's hardback or audio, like where you spend your time matters. Or if you're taking a course from a LinkedIn perspective. But I would say, so help desk manager, then I moved to the site, the Washington Navy Yard, so 6 miles down the road, where I was running all of the techs in the server farm for 12,000 customers at the Navy Yard. And then from there, I went to sales to get those kind of competencies. And then from there, I went to the federal government and then became a CIO in the government, and then went to PwC after that. Went back to be a CIO because I wanted to get back closer to technology. And then I became the CEO of Throughline. So that's kind of the path that I just kind of wanted to lay out there.
Right. And I love that path. But the thing that I like the most is you've gone all the way up to CEO. Mm-hmm. You've ventured in the C-suite for a great deal of time now, from the CIO and over. But when it came down to it, just like so many of us, you started at the help desk.
Right.
And I've had conversations with folks that forget the importance of that help desk time. And it doesn't have to be forever. That 8 months that you spend in the help desk will teach you more about how to be IT proficient than I would say 2 years in college.
I totally agree.
So, having that, I think is important. I'm sorry, I got off on a rant on Tech Talk, but I wanted to get your opinion on whether or not you agreed with that. But where do you see, I guess, Throughline really leaving their footprint here? So, I mean, in Delaware, we have so many banks here.
Right.
We have chemical companies. There's a lot of money that transverses through Delaware every single day, right? So there is definitely an IT footprint. Where do you see Throughline really being that beneficial in this area?
So in this area, I would say we help leaders move from intent to impact. So
ooh, I like that. Intent to impact.
Right.
You got to be careful. Ivan will put that on a t-shirt.
I love it. Let's do that.
Yeah.
As long as we can co-brand. But yes, so that's part of our tagline. We help leaders move from intent to impact. And we want to do that in a visual way such that you are communicating again, up, outside, down, in the way that everybody needs to receive it. Mm-hmm. So we know that if you study the science behind it, so people remember, I think it's 83% of visuals.
Okay.
And then that number drastically drops down to, when you hear things or if you read things, but visuals are still the highest grabber.
Okay.
And then we also know, actually, I was just at Georgetown the other week, and there's a study. So in 2016, what do you think the average adult attention span?
So
2016
when you say,
now.
2016. Okay. So are we going to go by minutes?
Yes, it's minutes.
It's not more than 50. Right. I would say it's about 45 to 50.
2016, it was 12 minutes.
Well, there's that.
And then now let's take it to 2023. It's like 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
Wow. Does that 2 minutes and 17 seconds relate to social media?
Yes, which is why they're
scroll,
reels.
So right.
You have my attention. I'm not watching the video all the way. I'm next.
Right.
I'm interested in that. I may watch.
Gotcha.
And you can kind of put yourself in that. There's certain videos that you watch, like I watch the golf videos. Like,
right.
All right, I'm gonna watch this one all the way through. But something else I wouldn't watch. We recognize that and we understand that science. So then how can we visually move an organization? Mm-hmm. So I like to help human beings win and succeed in their job. So really that's from a through line perspective. That's what I'm providing.
It embodies success, and the end goal is for, I guess, the customer or the end user to benefit from the information being demonstrated, and also for the customer demonstrating that information.
Exactly. So one example I'll give, I won't give the company name, but I'm helping to transform how a CIO articulates a message in a, let's say, 100,000 plus company. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, when the CIO briefs the CEO, and we moved 89 PowerPoint slides to a one-page visual.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I mean, I wish I could have the PowerPoint presentation time back. When things go bad and I'm in the hospital and the doctor's like, it won't be long now. I want all those hours.
Right. Amen. So to be able to do that and then effectively communicate a message to your boss, and that boss say, this is bold, this is clear, this is aligned, this will get funded. Mm-hmm. That's how I like to transform organizations.
I love that.
And I think that could be used in any organization if we think about the number of PowerPoints and the number of I'm reading this book now called The Art of Gatherings. Okay. And it's about being purposeful about the meetings that we establish. Oh. And thinking through that before we even do this meeting, and how much time could be saved, and how much we should be thinking about from an employee standpoint. Again, back to this human-centered design. Do we really need to meet right now? What are the outcomes that we're trying to get from this meeting?
Let's stay here for a second, because I'm trying to, even in my 45 years of life, I'm working very hard on maturity.
Okay.
Okay. So with utilizing that book, are you resentful when you're in meetings that could have been emails?
So, yes. And being in the position that I am now, in 11 months, I'm working really, really hard from an organizational standpoint mm-hmm. to reduce the number of meetings that we have. Because even because I come from this world of facilitation and graphic design and doing, drawing the conversation as we're having it. So mm-hmm. I've got team members who you and I could be talking now, they'd be drawing it on the wall as we're talking.
Got it.
And then that would be the conversation.
I love that.
But I'm really being purposeful about names of meetings, how long they are. Mm-hmm. Should we even have them? Is everyone getting everything out of the meeting?
Just because Teams puts it in 30-minute blocks doesn't mean that you need to have 30 minutes worth of a meeting.
I am, and my team will tell you, I'm a fan of 12-minute.
I love it.
And 17-minute. So that's my 15 and 30-minute meeting. 12 and 17. Because I can really say what I need to say.
Right.
In 6 minutes.
Right.
And then I give you a chance. And then we wrap up in 2. And then we're done.
I love it.
And then look at all this time that you have back
to actually do work. to work. And what I had a leader that I was having a conversation with, and he's like, in consulting, and he's telling me this as if I don't know, right. But he's in consulting, you're paid for your thoughts.
This is true.
So when you're in these meetings, you're not billing.
Right.
Because you're having these conversations about nothing.
This is true.
So
but I will make a point, because I had a mentor tell me this very early on, especially for the younger crowd here. When you're in the meeting, organizations are paying you for your opinion. Right. So you should state that opinion.
Right. I'll go for that. Yes.
Then it's upon leadership to figure out, do we even need to meet here? But yeah.
But that's the bureaucracy of government. I spent my time in government. You've spent your time in government. This is an organization that enjoys talking to one another for long periods of time. So I understand. And to my government customers, I love you. But the truth of the matter is, it does take time. Where do you see why I have you here? And we're in this AI I don't know. Do you see it as a new buzzword, or is it an actual thing? I mean, it is a thing. It's doing, but AI's been around for 30 or 40 years.
This is true.
And its implications are seen in everything that we do. And if people were to sit back and actually think about it, like, oh crap, AI's been here for a while.
Right.
I think with the onslaught of ChatGPT and other engines that have helped people make decision processing and things like that a little bit more popular over the past 12 to 24 months, we now believe that AI is something other than it is. But I believe that it is truly something that's been here. And I see a lot of attention. There's a lot of money going towards it. And working in the consulting realm, I don't want to talk against it, right? So, but do you foresee it kind of tapering out over a period of time and becoming a new buzzword, or is this something that we're now going to have to increasingly develop platforms against and continue to move just kind of through it? Like, is it?
So I don't think it's a buzzword.
Okay.
And I'm going to come at this from multiple angles. So just had a board meeting last Friday. We have our investment guy come in and kind of talk about the market and trends and things of that nature. So AI is on track with the internet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And AI is actually going to triple the amount of money that the internet made just from how people look at markets.
Okay.
So it's not a buzzword. If you think about, is the internet a buzzword? Everything operates
right through it. Right.
So that's where AI is going to be. So there's a lot of use cases out there, but I would say that we just need to get knowledgeable on what it is, how to use it, how to leverage it. I do think...
And how to secure it.
How to secure it. Yes, you and I did talk about that off camera. How to secure it is going to be important. So I think AI is not going to overtake humans. Mm-hmm. I think AI plus humans makes the world a better place. I think it will enhance a lot of the mundane activities that we do and allow us to do more things. So I'm one of these folks that even as a technologist, I'm really about the human being.
Okay.
And so we're not human doings, we're human beings. So I think that there's a world where AI allows us to be more human.
Better humans.
Yep.
Okay.
More and better humans. Because I think a lot of us, between the phone and the computer, like we're not being, like we're not living, we're in the screen, like just see nature and like be in the moment. Like
phones down? Is that what you're saying? Phones down?
Phones down.
I love it. I love it. I just worry. So my worry is we, and this is the political side coming out of me, we as especially Americans, just as people as a whole, but especially as Americans, have a level of paranoia to anything new and buzzworthy. And I feel that AI is falling into that. And we as Americans tend to become, because I can't speak about any other country because I don't live in any other country, but we can be very reactionary.
Agree. And let's liken this to the term that I never liked, which was digital transformation.
Okay.
I, as a CIO, did not use the term digital transformation.
What did you use?
Digital evolution.
Okay.
Because when you transform, what happens next?
That sounds like a movie almost, no?
That's how I looked at it. Like the transformer, you're either a car or you're this person.
Right.
But when you go to one, you're the one, and when you go to the other. But so I'm like, we're about evolving.
Gotcha.
And then I put it across three pillars, which was the digital customer experience, the digital employee experience, and then I had all things emerging tech wrapped in one. So that was AI, that was data, that was integration, all of that into one pillar, and said it was an evolution. Mm-hmm. So AI, again, I think is not a buzz term. Like it's the actual, hey, you type in something in the ChatGPT and it actually spits something out. Right. And then I think for the listeners here, getting really smart at, okay, what are the new skills that are needed now? So if a lot of things like writing emails or prepping things or finding an image instead of going to stock photo, it's going to do that. So why don't I get really, really good at prompt writing?
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with that. I agree with that because that's going to be the skill that's actually marketable,
right,
in the workspace.
Yep.
It isn't, because what I worry about is our overall ability to do things, right?
Agreed.
That makes me very nervous from an AI perspective, more so than several other factors. It's
right.
Is this the dumbing down of our world? Is it we're now embracing this to the extent? I mean, we weren't really on an upswing to begin with, but is this what's going to be our demise?
I still think that there's something about this human being to human being, and I'm sure that you've faced this in your world, like during the pandemic when everybody's on a Zoom or Teams or Google Meet screen. Cool for a moment, but then it's like the human connection still
I didn't
needs.
do well.
Right.
I didn't do well in COVID.
It was bad. It was like I found myself just being in the insurance industry at the time, and we were able to go in as essential employees type of thing, that I need to be in the office, and then I have a small skeleton staff. Just I need to be connected.
I have to
people.
talk to somebody.
Right.
I had to. I know we're going off on a tangent, but it was like I had to get dressed. I was that guy that still got dressed every day to be on the Zoom calls, just to feel like I was a part of something. So
I was business up top, party.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. You know what I mean? Do what's necessary.
Basketball shorts and shirt and blazer.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. That human to human feel was, I don't know. It was vital.
Right. And so that's kind of the core through line, us bringing that everywhere we go. So, we facilitated virtual sessions from here over into the UK, or just business to business type of situation. But it's something about just kind of being in the room, getting people working in groups, putting stickies on the wall and capturing that. And then when you're able to come back and kind of articulate, again, that message, that skill set that we talked about at the beginning, to a room full of folks, like that connection, I don't think that there's anything virtual that's going to replace that.
Right.
AI included.
So you have the listener's ear towards the last 5 minutes here. What folks in the Delaware Valley, Delaware itself, that may not understand, now I won't say understand because we all understand what you're doing here, but know about your company, this is your time to tell them why Throughline is the best decision. Gotcha.
So we're the best decision because, again, we move leaders from intent to impact.
I love it.
And we provide powerful strategies, tangible strategies. So there are certain times when you work with people who will give you reports and what I like to call shelfware. We give you actual tangible deliverables that you can use.
Okay.
And so if I come back to, let's say you're my client, and how do I help you win? Kerwin, I like to see you on stage pointing to your visual, talking people through exactly where they fit in. That's what I do.
Gotcha.
And it's about kind of elevating your platform, your springboard to move your organization on kind of that human being to human being level. That's what's the through line. So through line actually comes from the term of the play. So it's the story from beginning to end, and that beginning to end and all the conflict that you go through is the through line.
Why does it have to be conflict? Why can't it just be?
Well, that's just life. Tell them about your day today.
I cry in the car on the way here. That's my day. No, but I think the illustration of ideas is extremely important, and I think that it's awesome that you do that. And anyone that I know that has to present, that has to not only, forget the presentation because not everybody can do that, right? You need all of that, the benefits that you can, all of the, I guess you could say, I don't want to call them tricks, but anything that's going to make that job of illustrating that idea easier, I'm in favor for, and I'm sure so many others are. But so much of that, and I wish we would have brought this up sooner, Brandon, is that what is lost when we communicate sometimes is vital.
Right.
It's vital that through communication and as we're presenting these things, like, man, they didn't get that.
Right.
They didn't get that. And it's important.
It is important. And I know we've worked for large organizations that have a change management and a comms division.
Right.
But again, more of, this is going to sound harsh, it seems like a checking of the box, but kind of we're brought in to help force multiply those types of organizations. So
right.
we can provide those tangible strategies. We can provide those humanized technologies, those powerful experiences to really transform communications.
How can they find you?
Throughline.com. We're a small business based in Washington, D.C., Northwest, Adams Morgan. And bjones@throughline.com is my email. And I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, I should say, all the platforms.
Awesome. And you're also, before I forget, you're doing things with young folks too and helping them through this thing called life.
Yes. So we've got a robust internship program. And then for the young people here, I would just like to leave 6 things that a mentor of me
we'll take them.
told me. So what are the 6 things that leadership looks at when they're about to pass the torch? Are you intellectually curious? 2, are you mentally tough? 3, you must be a critical thinker. 4, you must be flexible. 5, you must have great project delivery skills. 6, you must have an imagination.
I love that. The critical thinking, especially for you. I taught here at Wilmington University, and I truly enjoy the mentorship of that. But one of the softer skills that I try to teach them is you have to be flexible.
Yes.
You have to be flexible in this because you begin to develop a brand for yourself.
Right.
In these organizations, and we need you to be as flexible as you possibly can because business is constantly changing.
Big time.
And I don't want to be in a position where if you're in a black and brown student trying to break into this field, or a female or whatever your minority is, I don't want it to be where you weren't flexible.
Right.
And you are not a critical thinker in moving forward. So, I mean, 2 of those things are great. And anyone that's giving you that advice, trust me, they're giving you the correct advice. Right. So continue to move forward with that. I think it's great.
This has been a pleasure.
Man, I don't know how I can get you back. How can I get you back?
Call me.
Is it that easy?
It's that easy.
All right.
For this, I'd support.
All right. Well, we support you. And I'm not sure, but it's hard that as a black person in the tech space, I mean, what is your parting advice?
I'm going to give some advice that I got from my mentor. So one advice I would say is definitely make sure you have your board of directors, your mentors that can guide you and where you need to go. But secondly, I think when I start to communicate, especially to the generation coming behind me, I'm not going to give you the same information that I got because the world is different. And I would say that for the millennials, the Gen Zs, the Gen Alphas, we don't live in a world where we necessarily need to code switch anymore. Whereas I would say when each of us came up, you had to play the game.
Yeah. There's a lot of game to be played.
There's a lot of game to be played. So I think now, even as I'm sort of kind of tiptoeing and kind of where I want to go to, because I haven't formalized it 100% yet, but it's taking what I got from the guidance from my dad, who worked at Northrop Grumman for 36 years, or any of my mentors that kind of helped me shape how I move through the corporate world or the federal government. But now when we educate the folks coming behind us, like, it is different. So maybe you don't have to have the suit and the tie and the formal shoes on. You know, you can do the jeans and the Jordans, but you still got to be able to kind of those 6 things that I went through, like the mentally tough, the being flexible, the project delivery skills, the critical thinking. Like you got to have that. Like that's a non-negotiable. You must have. So you're going to face challenges, but I think if you face those challenges with that kind of core competency and that core set, you'll be fine. But I'm also I'm being thoughtful about how I guide going forward because it's a different time.
Yeah, and the importance of something that's very basic that I feel that because of the education system that we currently have now and our need to propel people forward, and I understand that, but know your trade. Know your
better
trade
better
than anybody else in the room, and that's going to make you stand out more than anything else.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's not just knowing your trade, but understanding, especially within the DoD, and we can both speak to that, is how that affects different platforms within your organization,
right,
and how you can progress that and transform it and throughout the organization, right? So I find that we do so much as far as teaching people from the fire hose, and they try to drink from the fire hose, and there's so many, I guess, different types of applications and technologies that they can use that they never truly master one.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be something that's, underwater wicker basket making or anything, but just get that one thing down pat.
Yep.
Cybersecurity is very vast, but what if it's just governance, right? You understand governance, you understand NIST compliance, you understand that one thing. Get that one thing under control, right? Don't say, oh, well, I'm this, and you come up and you pad your resume with all these other great things that you've done that are absolutely inaccurate.
Agree.
So just ensure that you have that one thing down would be my advice.
Yeah, that's that attention span issue
that
we talked about.
Yeah, it is. It is, but some of it is fear, right?
Yeah.
We talk about fear a lot, especially if people don't understand some of the, I guess, tensions that Black and brown folks face within the IT community, and the fear of, losing their job or fear of not being picked. So they're doing their very best to ensure that they will be picked.
Right.
And the best way that they do that is to raise their hand and say that they're available when in fact they haven't mastered one particular skill.
Right.
Especially our young folks here today, and it will actually put you behind.
And let me pull on that fear. Just one statement that I want to make. Do not be afraid to be great. Mm-hmm. And just let that sit with you. I go through exercise with my kids, especially my youngest daughter, of normalizing these 4 statements. I'm ready, I'm powerful, I'm worthy, I deserve this life.
Yep.
Do not be afraid to be great. And I think there's, depending on where all the sum of our experiences, so depending on how we come up, it's just important for, I think, everyone to hear that, but to also practice it.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I think that's awesome. Don't be afraid to be great.
Amen.
But also, more times than not, you have to be brave.
Yep.
And you have to step out there and do those things. And this IT field is no different, right? It's a tremendous amount of money that's out there. For anyone that feels that they want to be entrepreneurs in this field too, I've benefited from that as well, as well as you have.
Yep.
And but you have to be brave on a lot of occasions. You're going to be in more rooms than you're a stranger, and no one else looking like you than not.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So you talked about having that mentorship, and those other things I think are very, very important.
2 things that I look for in folks when I'm hiring is grit and aptitude. So kind of bring that to bear. And then the last thing I would say is a book from a book called The Alchemist, which is really own and discover your personal legend.
Ooh, I like that even better.
And from that, what I mean by that is be open to opportunity. So quick context. One thing that I ask all of our new employees is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I ask this to everybody. And some people know, some people don't know. And even if you know, or even if you don't know, it's okay. But it's about being open to the number of opportunities to figure out exactly what's my purpose? What am I passionate about? What do I want to do? So just really having that foresight of owning hey, I'm out here trying to figure out what's my personal legend. So that's what I would say.
Well, we look forward to seeing you next time right here on DETV.